What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we have our first ever FBA Roadmap student interview. We have Michael, aka Q Paula, for anyone who's in the Discord. You guys have been seeing his screenshots lately. He's doing a lot of good stuff, so I knew I had to bring him on the channel for a little student interview here. But thanks for being with me, Michael. Tell us basically your last 30 days sales, because I know you're scaling quick. Just
Yeah.
set the precedent.
So I checked a minute ago. Last 30 days is at 59. Well, 58.7. Will be 59 later in the day. Probably
Oh,
60
probably,
or
yeah,
so.
within
But
an hour or two, definitely.
yeah,
Cool.
I mean, it's
And
been a
then just
slowish day, but
That's normal for
yeah.
Sundays. And what about the prior 30 days to that? Because I know you're probably growing
Prior
pretty
30
quickly.
days, I believe, was actually, let me pull up my Excel sheet. It was 27, I believe,
Okay,
in
so
March, not March, February.
pretty drastic growth there. So
Yeah.
from we'll call it about $1,000 a day to now, crushing over 2,000 a day on average. So that's really cool. And so you're doing all online arbitrage.
Yeah. I've kind of done it backwards. Most people kind of start with merchant fulfilling and then doing retail arbitrage. I started on doing OA right away and FBA only.
Yeah, and it's harder to get going just with OA. Like I kind of like RA for beginners just because you get to feel stuff. It makes it more real and everything. But OA is the far better option long term,
Yeah.
in my opinion, definitely. And so you're completely OA. Are you using Prep Center at all?
Yeah. So I got a prep center in March. Basically, I was getting so many packages here at my apartment, and they've been very understanding of it for the past few months. But one day they're just like, "Hey, you've got to do something about this."
And
So
luckily, you had the capital and infrastructure and I guess network to get that figured out pretty quickly. Then.
yeah, I talked to Kyle. You guys had him on the Five
Yep.
Bucks Bandits
Good guy.
podcast, and I've been asking him questions here and there. Same with you, and he recommended a prep center, and I'm not going to name the state we
Yeah.
talked about earlier, but
Sales tax
like
free.
mom and pop prep center basically. So I did some research and found one that I liked.
Sweet. And obviously it's a big thing, right? I assume you got them on the phone, talk to them,
Yeah,
some of their reviews and all that. That's very important. And that's going to be big for you because you'll get to save that sales tax over where you currently live, like we had talked about.
yeah,
So on each unit he's buying, he's not going to have to pay any sales tax because he's sending product to a state that doesn't have sales tax. So you're saving that margin, even if you pay or even when you pay a cost per prep. And additionally, another advantage of the prep is that you don't have to pay for boxes, tape, labor, warehouse
yeah,
infrastructure,
definitely.
all that stuff, which at a certain point, the variable cost of that outpaces it. But even just the lifestyle gains of not having to commute anywhere or deal with all that is very
It's been a
clutch.
game changer completely.
Seriously. Yeah, I was just proud of this. I was ordering some stuff to mine as well, which is in a different tax-free state,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So, what types of products are you selling?
So I long story short, I've been in business since 2013. I've kind of tried a bunch of different things, but the
Hmm.
one thing that's always been constant is shoes. So the most recent thing I've been doing prior to Amazon was reselling shoes on apps, similar to what you used to
Oh,
do
oh man, back in the day,
and
that
all that.
stuff's hard. If you can do that, you can
Yeah.
do anything. That stuff's hard.
It was going well, but, I started hearing a bunch of people talking about Amazon, and there was one guy that I followed who started posting all of your stuff, back when you first started posting all your tweets on Instagram and things like
Oh, the
that.
2020 days, yeah,
Yeah.
bummer.
So then I eventually just decided, "Screw it, I'm gonna try this out." I tested it and, it clicked right away, so then I started liquidating all my shoes and just pumping it all into Amazon.
And then it seems like it really clicked, like a
Yeah.
month or so, just get going. And
Yeah.
you see a clear path to keep that scaling then?
So I started in May of last year, so it's
Mhm.
actually almost been a
Almost,
year,
yeah.
or 11 months or so. And it wasn't until I want to say August or so that things finally started clicking in the sense that I started consistently doing 10K months. And then from, Q4, October through December, it started going up from there. December, I did 29. And then January went down because of the, Q1 slump beginning. I was mostly just liquidating old inventory. Then February and March this year, it's just
Been very good.
skyrocketed.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
I want
And
to say like December is when everything really clicked.
And you right, the nice thing is now that you understand the basics, right? Finding items, all that stuff, like accounting, listing stuff. Now you have the preps, you don't have to worry about a ton of that. But
Yeah,
you have the clear path to keep it growing now that it's just throwing gas on the fire and purchasing more.
yeah, exactly. It's basically once everything kinda clicked and once I started putting the time into actually developing systems and doing actual research, it all just worked out. I mean,
Yeah,
for
and
the first,
what's
like, 6 months, I was using Jungle Scout and Keepa to do my
mhm.
sourcing, But Keepa I wasn't even using for the price history graphs. I was just
Oh,
using that
man.
to check the inventory levels of competitors. So, I mean, it was working, but it wasn't, it's
Mhm. Yeah,
not
and
a
what
good way.
yeah, how are you finding products now?
So, well, now I have 2 VAs,
Nice,
but I
okay.
still do sourcing myself as well, but ideally, my product researcher is gonna be better than me. I mean, I've even given her access to the course
As
and
you should, yeah, that's a big thing, all
yeah,
FBA Roadmap members really should, and I say that to people sometimes when they're, like, thinking long term, asking me about it, I'm like, "This is gonna be a resource you should give to your employees down the line."
yeah. She's about, I wanna say 5 weeks in,
Mm,
and she's learned way faster than I did. She's finding really good products, and, I mean, there's obviously still a lot of room for growth, but 'cause I found one that had no prior experience just because I've heard some horror stories about people getting, uh, product researchers with past experience because if they were good, they probably would have a job already.
true, yeah.
But it's been a game changer, and when I do sourcing myself, because obviously I'm not gonna take myself out of the equation,
Mhm.
I've mainly just been doing reverse sourcing and, there's a bunch of websites that are my go-tos, and they're always constantly changing with sales and products that are in stock, so, you
Absolutely.
know, once a week or so, I try to go through those and pull out some good stuff.
Yeah, and it's clutch when you can like it's very high it's like I guess a very powerful thing to be able to look inside a website and find stuff, right? Because the
Yeah,
average person that's new, it's gonna look crazy confusing to them. They're not gonna know where to look, what types of products to look. But over time, right? I say this all the time. This is a skill just like anything else that the more weights you lift, the stronger you're gonna get, the more you source, the better you're gonna get. And then get
exactly.
PAs in there and all that. Let's talk about in terms of scaling quickly, like have you like taken any Amazon loans or credit or did you have the cash already?
Just well, my one of the main things I was doing in 2020 for my business, I was kinda printing money with that,
Mhm.
but then that got shut down, and then I kind of reinvested that into shoes, which was what I was talking about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, after I dabbled in the shoes a bit, I just reinvested all that into Amazon basically. So aside from that, like nest egg basically, it's just been straight credit. I
Mhm.
was able to get the Amex Gold business gold card through
Yeah.
what I was doing with shoes. That was honestly, everyone talks about credit like, oh, I have this card, I have this card, it's so good. That card really did change my life because
Spend
of
power. Yeah.
the unlimited spending, basically.
Yeah. I
That
would say you should probably grab a Capital One Spark now for the 2% cash back. Oh, he's pulling it out, I think. Or yeah, there we go. Yeah,
yeah.
that's like the best one now, in my opinion, definitely. And there's that new Chase card that's coming out that I already
Yeah, I've heard about that.
not out publicly. It's weird. I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be out publicly soon, and then everyone can get it. But that one's really, really good as well. And so,
Yeah.
in terms of your like next 3 to 6 months, do you plan on doing any wholesale, or are you pretty content with OA?
Ideally, big picture speaking, I don't know what the timeline would be. I do wanna transition over to a combo of OA and wholesale just because the problem with OA, which I know you know about, you've talked about it a lot, is products being out of stock. And often, there's other websites that sell them, but sometimes there's only 1 or 2.
Yeah,
If they're
absolutely.
both out of stock and it's a hot selling product, and you haven't, you don't have a you don't have a bunch on the side that you've saved up, you're screwed basically.
Hmm.
So I kinda wanna transition to wholesale at some point just to kind of, compensate for the out of stock products for OA that sell well.
Hmm.
But it's not a priority right now. Right now, I'm just trying to scale, build out all my systems and everything, and expand into other products and categories before I make that jump.
Yeah, it's interesting because like 9, 10 months ago, I had just probably done my first like 40K in sales month, and I was like, all right, man, it's time to go. I got to do wholesale and everything. And I was like not having fun doing it in the same way. For
Yeah,
whatever reason, OA just clicks for me. And now almost a year later in December, I did like nearly 10x that in sales, and it was all OA. And I'm not even considering starting wholesale. Not to discredit or anything. It's just different things work for different people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there's retail arbitrage people that I think are crazy, but are enjoying it.
definitely.
They're doing great things. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Yeah, basically, I mean, not wholesale, OA, it has its disadvantages, but it's so easy per se that I mean, if it's going well right now, I basically just need to take what I'm doing and apply it to different websites, different product categories, and so on, and just repetition basically, and
Yeah, the
it's been
product
working so far.
categories, the interesting thing is in terms of OA, it's just very similar. It's the same thing. It's just
Yeah,
websites and data. Obviously, infrastructure prep wise is different, being that some categories require different types of prep.
yeah, definitely.
and all that, definitely. But it really does come down to the same thing. And it sounds like in terms of all software you're using, let's walk through your tech stack.
Yeah, so I mean, I've tried out at least not all, but the majority of the big name ones. Right now, I'm using Keepa for obviously the price history and
Yeah.
everything. I used to use Jungle Scout. I got rid of that and replaced it with SellerAmp because I was mainly just using it for the monthly sales, and SellerAmp does the same thing for half the price,
Yeah.
more or less. I use Trello for the VAs. Trying to think. Oh, I just got Be Cool at the beginning of this month, finally.
You were making money to not be repricing.
Yeah, it it was one of those things. I did a trial when I was a month or 2 into it when I
And
first
then
started, but I
it
didn't
didn't
know
move the
anything
needle
then.
much. Yeah, I'm sure it
Yeah,
didn't move the needle much.
and so I've kinda just kept putting it off and putting it off, and then I finally got it at the beginning of the month, and that's just I mean, the day after I pressed start on all of it and got all my data in, it was just it changed everything,
Mhm.
and, I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Inventory
But
lab.
yeah, Inventory Lab, I don't really use that myself, but my
Yeah.
prep center uses it, so I
Yeah.
just got the license for them. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's
It
probably
does
because I
the job,
haven't
and it
taken the
makes it
time.
easier for them too.
Yeah.
Definitely. In terms of SellerAmp, are you just using it for the profit calculator, or are you reverse sourcing with it too?
I've started reverse sourcing with it recently, but I've mainly been using it for the data. For the
Mhm.
past, I wanna say month or so, I haven't really been able to do as much of a deep dive into software and learning other techniques myself because I've been busy training and
Absolutely.
kinda, dealing with all the management and learning curve for both of the I have a product researcher, like I said, and then the other person is an admin person to do a bunch of bookkeeping and things like that.
Oh,
So
nice.
right now
Let's talk through that because I think a lot of people, and maybe even I should have one. Let's talk about what that other kind of VA helps that's more the admin side of things. I'm curious.
So basically, I found myself spending, at minimum 1, more so 2 to 3 hours a day just entering stuff into spreadsheets, which that's stuff that I wouldn't necessarily wanna outsource because it's, sales data,
Yeah.
sales information, kinda complicated things that I thought was complicated. But then it kinda just reached a point where, I was really enjoying having outsourced to the product researcher. So I figured, "Okay, if I outsource that, why don't I just outsource all of this other stuff?" So I could basically buy back my time and then reuse that time for, better activities, strategy, uh, management, I guess, for the product researcher and doing my own research as well. So I wanna say I'm about a week and a half, 2 weeks in with this admin person. So she basically enters purchases because I have a shared spreadsheet with my prep center where I enter all the purchases.
Yeah.
She transfers those over to my main personal spreadsheet for all of the sales and everything. She enters each day's sales. I know Inventory Lab basically waits until Amazon ships it. And so, since you're actually getting paid because orders get
Yeah.
canceled and everything, big picture speaking, that probably is a better system. But right now, I just have her enter them whenever the sale is there. And then every couple of days, I go through all the canceled or refunded ones and basically take those off the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah, I would dude, that's I wouldn't. I like just looking at inventory lab. I can see my FBA sales, my merchant sales, nice and easy
Yeah.
once it's in there.
Since I'm kind of credit heavy right now, for most of my purchases and everything, that's kind of why I'm leaning towards this method.
That
Like I
makes
said, it's not
a
big
lot
picture,
of
but
sense.
it helps me get a better understanding of the
Exactly,
income
yeah,
gap.
like, there's not one way to do it, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
totally get that being important, and the nice thing is, now that you're really doing good stuff, in a few months after, assuming you reinvest, the majority or even some, your money's gonna compound and you'll have more
Yeah.
and more cash in the business so you can be less credit reliant and kinda just more stable. I know because 'cause I've had some scary times over the scaling periods of,
Yeah.
every, like, few months, something comes up, but that's a sign of growth as well, and if you're buying the right
Yeah.
stuff, it ends up working out.
Yeah. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. And I mean, I kind of went each month, I thought I was kind of, being aggressive with my spending, but it wasn't until this past month that I really went balls out. I'm kind of playing my cards really close to my chest right now, but it's looking like it's going to pan out.
Amazing. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so final question. If you could change anything, because you said you had started last May, that would have gotten you to this point a lot quicker, and just tips for beginners, let's hear some of those.
Honestly, I mean, like I said, I didn't really start the growing until, November or December or so. But, ideally, I would have cut out that long learning period because it's May through October. That's, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. It's a long period of time. But I think it was helpful because, I was able to use that time to kind of uh, fail a lot, make a lot of mistakes, figure out how to avoid them, and kind of learn the ropes of everything. But I guess honestly, I wish I would have taken more time to watch more videos, learn more methods and everything on my own prior to, finally adapting Keepa and using it the right way for the price history and everything. And I wish I would have gone in a prep center sooner. Same
Mhm.
with Repricer. I
Repricing.
mean, I can't complain because I like the way things have turned out, but it's just
Oh,
the
yeah,
time. Like, I wish
absolutely.
this would have happened earlier, but
Yeah. All right,
I'm satisfied.
amazing. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So like I said, Michael has been a student of our FBA Roadmap course. If you're interested in checking that out, it's linked in the description. And if anyone's like has any questions or anything like that for you, your Discord name is at QPaula. It's a
Yeah.
interesting name. So you guys can go reach out to him if you have anything. But thank you, and we really
Yeah,
appreciate
no
you coming on
problem.
the channel today. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for all the help, man. You've helped me a lot over the last couple months, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep, yep, and thank you guys for watching as well. So, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys, on Wednesday for another video.